I'm Laurel Gray from Happily Organized, and I'm here today with Justin Cooper. Justin is from Your Authentic Business, where he runs an online program, and he's also got some great workshops coming out called, I think, Unleash Your Beast. And he's here today to talk with us about how you can really identify with the core purpose in your business. Is that fair to say?
I think that's spot on. I'd like to start with a belief statement, because I think that's really important to people understand where you're coming from. And I believe that everyone has a story, but it's hidden, a story that's relevant to their business. And what we do is actually discover and uncover that story and make a connection between the business owner's story and the client's story. So we're actually forming a bridge between the two. So you can imagine all these people out there are running around with a great story inside them, but they can't express it. What most people do with marketers, and I've been in the trade for about nearly 30 years, so I know how this works. What they normally do is they invent a story, and that doesn't work. The easiest way to connect with people and to make a connection with a customer is to tell a true story. And when you actually discover your story, it's amazing, because that's where the inspiration comes from. So you can imagine you're telling a powerful story about what, why, and how you do what you do, and you're making that connection between what you love and what the customer really needs. So if you like it, as I say earlier, it's like a bridge between you and them. And the key point, the connection point, is the problem that you solve for them. So once you identify that big problem, and that really comes from your own experience and the love of the work that you do, and you explain to people why you do what you do, that's when the magic happens. And that's why I started with a belief statement. Because when you actually tell people what you believe in that's relevant to the problem that they face, that makes it much easier for them to receive the message. So it's that connection point. Once you've got your story straight, the great thing is that then you can feed it through everything that you tell people. You know, whether that's your marketing, or whether that's finding partners for your business, or whether it's a way of actually discovering great staff, people you want to work with, partners. Once you have that story clear and you're inspired, you inspire others. And one of the great things is the work that I've been doing over the last probably about 10 years with small business is that the light goes on. When people really understand what it is behind the work they do and they get to their why, and this is something that Simon Sinek has covered really well. There's a great YouTube clip on this. His book, Start With Why. When you really identify that why, that's when you make a deeper connection. So it's really about connecting and then telling a story in a very natural, authentic way, which is why we called the first program Your Authentic Business. And what we're going to do now is actually take that to the next level. We're running workshops, and we're actually using a rather fun title. It's called Unleash Your Beast. And that's really all about the fact that, everyone has a beast in them, and the beast is their purpose. The real reason they're doing their work that they do. Not for the money, we all want the money, obviously, but there's a deeper reason, a reason that drives us, based on our beliefs. And once you connect with that beast, that's when the magic happens. So we've created a program to help people really connect with their purpose, and then, as I say, form a bridge between what they love doing and how they're helping their clients. And we're trying to do it in as fun a way as possible, so people really relax. Because it's a bit like making a video like this. You've got to be relaxed in order to tell your story. If you're uptight and you're just focused on what you do, which is what most businesses do, that's when the magic doesn't really flow. You've just got to relax and talk about what you believe in and how you help people. The problem I resolve is confusion and clutter. And just people getting really unclear about what they want. And it's a bit like having a cluttered mind. Because You've got all these things that you could do, but if you unclutter it and get really crystal clear on what you want to achieve, that's the organized bit. So it's clarity.
Exactly. And maybe you can walk us through how you actually would work with a client who's coming in and is just feeling really overwhelmed. How would you work with them to bring them over that organizing challenge?
Well, the structure of the course is in two parts. It's a one-day workshop, or play shop as we call it, because it's fun. And part one is really getting that clarity. And what we actually do is use meditation. Because when people are in overwhelm, which is typically something that I'm sure you come across, a lot of business owners I know are just in that overwhelm, particularly if they're a solopreneur. The most important thing from my perspective is to get clarity. Get clear on what it is that you want to achieve. And the first half of the day is about connecting to purpose, because purpose is this big thing that's hidden from us. You know, I always like to say there's like a firewall between the thinking brain and the feeling brain. The feeling brain is the limbic center, and that's where your values are stored. And the thinking brain is the thing that allows us to converse and, you know, concentrate on tasks. The process that we use to actually break that firewall is to get people relaxed. And meditation is a very simple process for actually relaxing people. Once they're relaxed, they can then access their thoughts and beliefs. Once you do that, you see the calmness come in. So we do a simple meditation technique and then answer a series of questions about what people love doing about the work they do. It's all related to work, obviously. And that immediately, you can see the shoulders go back. One of the key expressions we use is just let go. And just those magic words, those 3 words, just let go. You see people's shoulders drop and they go, oh, you mean I can just relax? Because we do hold a lot of stress and anxiety around our businesses. So getting organized is about getting clear. So clarity is my form of organizing people. Once you're clear on a sole purpose, on a big idea, that's when you see people relaxing. And interesting enough, that's when all the other tasks seem to sort of fall into shape. It's almost like compartmentalizing the issues that you have. But you've got a big box now, a box that represents what you stand for, what you believe in. And then you can start to order the other things you need to do in your business to achieve that vision. And it becomes, you line things up. And it's a wonderful process because you literally see people, the weight just coming off their shoulders. So the first half of the day is about understanding that big purpose, coming up with a big idea for your business. And then the second half of the day is about connecting to your story, finding the language that actually wraps around the connection point, the bridge, as I described it earlier, between what you love doing and what your clients desperately need. And one of the expressions we use in the workshop is, what is the one thing, or what are you here to help people with? And rather than thinking of target markets, which is kind of the old, what I call traditional marketing thinking.
Very much so.
It's around who desperately needs your help. And it was interesting, I came up with this term desperately on a whim because I was sort of in the moment, and a lot of great things happen in the moment. As soon as I said that, 2 people out of the 6 doing the course just went, they started looking at me strangely. What are you, you've just nailed it, because that's a brilliant way of turning it around. You're not targeting people, reframing, exactly, targeting people. You're not putting a crosshair, that's very traditional, old-fashioned thinking. You're actually there offering something you're really good at, and people are desperate for your help. But rather than trying to sell to them, they're coming to you because you're really clear now on what it is that you do. And that's the big difference. Once you're clear on what you love doing.
Justin did this for me in like 20 minutes. Yeah.
Once you've got that clarity, it's like you're a magnet. All of a sudden, the barriers come down. You're not having to try and force what you sell. You're actually quite relaxed, and you're clear on how you help people. And that's the key. Who out there desperately needs your help? And once you've got that clear, your story starts really taking shape. And it's a very simple 4-step process. The problem that you solve for people, why you love solving it, what you do to solve the problem, and how you solve it. And within that, you have a structure for your story, your elevator pitch, and your complete story. How we get there, we don't actually go in that process. We actually start with why. So I was talking about Simon Sinek earlier. We take a leaf out of his book. The why is the most powerful part. And it's probably the easiest analogy is it's like an onion. The center of the onion, there you go, that was reinforcement. The center of the onion is your why, and then around the outside is how you do it, and then finally what you do. So it's not starting with what, it's starting with why.
It's so powerful. Like, it's easy for us to look from the outside and go, yeah, that makes sense. But actually going through that, like, you sat down with me a couple weeks ago and we had a coffee. And I think I came into the conversation asking you actually about my marketing materials. And we looked at my website and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll just print this out and we'll start to hash out the marketing copy just over the top. And I'm sure you've thought about this before, revamping things. I'll just print it out and make some annotations. And you were like, that's not exactly the way that I would go about it. And maybe you can share the advice that you gave to me, because that was such a powerful tip for getting my own brain organized. Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I think we started with you to understand what it is that you love, rather than starting with the client. And this is, I think, the biggest mistake that people make in marketing, is the term marketing is the most deceptive term there is, because it means that the power resides with the market. It doesn't. The power resides with the person that provides the skills. And if we give our power away to the market and we simply ask people what they want, they get rattled. They don't know what they want. The reality is they want to be inspired by you. So I think our starting point was, what is it that you do deep down to really help people? What is it that you love? You do a lot of stuff, but what's the one thing that you really love? And that's the core, that's the start point. And it's almost like, when you fly, they always, they do the safety demonstration. What do they say about the air, the oxygen mask that comes down? Remember what they say?
In case of emergency, give the mask to a child first and then take care for yourself.
That's absolutely right, yeah. Now, the reason for that is if you're gagging for breath, you're passing out, you can't actually help someone else. So it's the same in business. If you're absolutely clear on what it is that you do for people, what it is you love, not keep referring to them saying, oh, is this right? Could I change this? They don't know. What they're looking for is for you to tell them what it is you're an expert in. So I think that was the start point. And I think when we were looking at your marketing materials, it was really focused on how you do what you do and what you offer.
Right. So detail oriented. Oh my gosh, I was giving away the whole farm, literally. You won't see that anymore on my website.
Yeah, and that's what we do. We tend to assume that that's how business works. Because going back to how the brain works, the thinking brain logically works things out. But when we're thinking about buying stuff, we actually use different parts of our brain. We use two other parts of the brain without even knowing about it. We use the reptilian brain, which is what's in it for me. It's the first thing that goes through our brains. So unless you offer something and say, are you experiencing this? Do you have a problem with this? Unless you start with that, the thinking brain's going to switch off and go, oh, there's a couple of other things I need to do today. I need to sort out this and that and the other. And you lose their focus. So what's in it for me is the first point. The second part is, can I trust this person? And that's why I started by talking about what I believe in. Because really what you're trying to do is establish a link, a rapport, and say, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And that's very much the approach that Steve Jobs took. He's very love him or loathe him. He's a hero now, but he was very direct. This is what he believed in, as did Steve Wozniak, who he worked with. And that's about putting your beliefs on the line. And at that point, the other person will make a decision subconsciously. Can I trust this person? And only once you've done that, you get 2 ticks. Yes, there's something in it for me. They can help me with a problem I have. Yes, I can trust them. Only then do you talk about what you do and how you do it. Whereas most people rush into that first.
I can fix this for you. Here's how.
Well, a lot of people just don't even talk about how they can fix. They just say, this is what I do. I am a whatever. I'm an accountant and I specialize here. The kiss of death for me is any term like I specialize in, or I focus on, or I'm an expert in, or I'm dedicated to, or I'm committed. Those are all givens. Those are, people expect that these days. What they're looking for is something fresher. They're actually looking for an idea about who you are. Because once they've got that, obviously first they've got to establish that you can help them. Once you identify a problem they relate to, and then you give something about yourself, then they're open. And this is as important in a face-to-face sell as it is in a video. So, because it's another form of communication. So once you've got your story really clear, then you can use that in everything. You can use that in all your materials. You know, if you're thinking about doing one of these videos with Laura, get clear first. You know, get your story first.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That is so... That just gives us so many different starting points that people can kind of go back to. So I'm just wondering from you, if, you know, as I always challenge my viewers to go back and do one small thing that maybe takes maximum of 30 minutes and just make that happen for themselves and for their business throughout the week. So if you could pick one small thing out of all those lovely things that we talked about, what would it be?
I would start with why. I would get yourself positioned, relaxed in a chair. I would do some simple breathing exercises, and the trick with the breathing exercises is to breathe in for the same period of time as you breathe out. So breathe in for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds. Most of us are good at breathing in, but we don't exhale when we're stressed. So just do that literally for 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
Get yourself relaxed, have a piece of paper there, and write on that why. And ask yourself probably 3 questions. First question is, why do I absolutely love the work that I do? The second question would be, what's the big difference I make to people's lives? And the third question would be, what's the big problem I solve for people? The big problem, not a list of them. What's the big one? And just doing that for 10 minutes will give you some clarity, and it'll stop the head clutter. Because this is about organizing your brain. You know?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of stuff going on there for business owners. Just take time out. And as I say, this exercise can take 10 minutes, but it makes a big difference.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your lovely insights today. I really appreciate it. And if people at home, they want to go and watch... So if you want to go and find out more about Justin, where can they actually find out more information about you?
Well, you can have a look at our online course, which is called yourauthenticbusiness.com. We also have a consulting business called The Brand Factory, so brandfactory.com.au. And soon, very soon, there'll be an Unleash Your Beast website, which we're working on right now.
All right, great. And that's for workshops happening in
That's
Sydney.
for workshops, and what we're going to do is fold Your Authentic Business into Unleash Your Beast. It's a much more fun title, and I think people get the sense of what we're doing.
Can relate to it a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thanks again for sharing.
Pleasure, Laurel. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.